Hey everyone, it's Tim with Ghost Towns, Washington, and today we are in the Index Mining District, and we're heading out to a turn-of-the-century mine that we're going to call the Galena Mine. So we hope you enjoy this video, and thanks for coming along with us, and our adventure to the Galena Mine begins now. So we are at elevation now, and we are going to just make our way up a little bit up this hill here, and across the small gully. And we'll be at the mine here momentarily. There's Forrest up there yelling, so he must have got up to the mine. Let's see if I can zoom in on where he's at. So there he is. There. So Forrest made his way up ahead of me, and it looks like he spotted a cabin site. So we're gonna catch up to him here. It's kind of a cold, crisp but clear day here in the PNW. Gets a little slippery out here. A lot of frost on the ground. So this is the cabin site. So this is the remains of a cedar shake cabin. So the siding was cedar shake as well as the roof. And you can kind of see what remains of some of the shakes. And over here looks like we have a window frame here. Then a mid-century, like 60s, 70s stove. I'm not exactly sure what year this cabin was actually put in here. I know there was some activity up here and it was modernized here and there with some elements over the years before it collapsed. I mean, we got a door here. Old pot, probably not that old. I'm gonna watch for nails here, but see if we can take a look on this side of the cabin. See what we see. And there you can kind of make out the roof. Oh, sorry, that wasn't the roof. That looks like the back wall. Roof would be over here with that flashing on top. Right there. Looks like back here we have part of a old stove, older than the one that's kind of in the collapse right now. This looks like, oh, this looks like some sort of maybe, it's a bed cot of some kind. It's got these springs and the steel going across to kind of make it support there. Kind of interesting. And of course the stove I mentioned, the mid-century modern one. But unfortunately, this is all that remains of the cabin. So we're going to make our way around and see if we can locate the lower tunnel here. So now we're just coming up from the cabin site. And right in front of us, below this massive rock feature, is the lower tunnel. So this is looking in to the lower, and this is one that we can actually just film as we go in. It's not too difficult to get in. You can see there's a little bit of water, not uncommon. This is the side of the year you really don't want to deal with it, but that's okay. That's what we do. Look at the walls here. This one's always been one of my favorite ones to photograph, just because of all this white that's leaching on the walls. It just looks really cool in photographs. And we start to make our way down this initial. This according to the plat, this adit's only like 250 feet, so it's not a particularly long mine. I think once we get back here, we are at the back wall. Let me face out here. This is kind of a cool view of the tunnel, the way it's kind of squared off. It has this tomb sort of look to it, which I always thought was kind of cool. So once we get back out here, we're going to make our way to an upper, which is supposed to be a little bit larger, and I believe has some artifacts there, so that'll be pretty cool to go look at. Kind of give you another view of the tunnel here, a little better lighting. See the walls here. And about really the only feature of shoring is kind of right here at the entrance. There's a timber going across, but outside of that it's driven in pretty stable material, so it doesn't look like they needed a lot of shoring here. Looking out, There's this huge rock feature that's kind of right outside the portal here. I'll film it from above when we go up there. It's more impressive from above. We're going to talk about something that we get asked about on a regular basis, and people comment sometimes on our YouTube videos as well, and that's about dangers and safety of mines. So a little background on us. We've been exploring mines in Washington for about 15 years. We've done about 200 mines from the Idaho border to the west side Canadian border all the way down to the Oregon border. We do a lot of exploration with other groups and people that have expertise that we don't. So we learned a lot from them over the years. We've spent time with miners who presently do mine, and we've got educated on some basic fundamentals from them. But as far as for us, some of the things that we take into consideration before we go out and look at these mines is we understand the layout of the mine. So we look at plat maps, so we kind of have an idea of what the tunnel system looks like, how deep the mine is. Basically, when it comes to these mines out here, these shorter ones, like we are going to go in, they don't particularly have too many issues with oxygen deficiency because they're not deep enough. Some of the deeper ones, we will use an O2 detector sensor. Gases for metal mines aren't too big of a concern here in Washington. It doesn't mean it can never happen, but it's not something that is by any means normal. Coal mines, we stay out of. They're just not safe for multiple reasons. But some of the equipment, basic equipment we bring, so obviously a bump cap or a hard hat, we always have. And then usually at least 2 sources of light. When we're videoing, we bring more just so we can try to get a better shot of the interior for you. As far as other things to consider, well, first, know your limitations. If you're not comfortable or you don't know what you're getting into, you probably should just not. We leave all of this information at home with family members so they know exactly where we are to the pin. So in case we don't return by a specific time that we set, we have friends in the area who also know we're here that we give information to that live close by. We always leave one person on the outside. That way, if something happens, the other person or persons, they know exactly what to do, where to go, who to call. So these are just some of the fundamentals that you should just consider. Again, we don't advocate people going out and just jumping into mines. That's not why we share this. We're not sharing it for people to get the thrill of seeking out mines. We do it because we enjoy the history. We like sharing it, and we have a comfort level and a knowledge that we feel secure in entering these mines. So we just want to give you that little bit of information since we get asked it quite a bit. We hope that we didn't cover everything. So for you mine experts and those of you who are miners, you're going to say I left out a ton. I probably did. But again, we're just giving you some fundamentals that we go by. So next, we're going to head up and look for this upper adit. So here's that kind of rock outcropping feature that I was talking about a little bit earlier, that you can't really get a feel for how big it is, but it's fairly large. Maybe I'll get Forrest to go up there and stand and see if we can just give you an idea just of how big this face is. So there's Forrest. But it's pretty impressive. So next, we're going to head up in this direction and look for the upper adit, which is about 3 times or so the size of the one we just checked out here at the lower. This is looking uphill as we make our way towards the upper. These climbs never really look accurate on film, but you can kind of make out the trees. Like if I come to this one right here, sort of see the angles, which give you an idea of the slope. So we have probably 300 or 400 feet, somewhere in there, of elevation gain. And then we should be close to the upper. All right, so we're going to make our way in. First, I will talk a little bit about the date of this mine. So the lower dated to 1900, and the claims up here were from 1900, and in 1909, the claims were relocated. It started with 5 claims, then later it expanded to 9 claims. On the plat map for this mine, this upper tunnel isn't shown as of 1918, so making the assumption this tunnel came later after 1918. Again, this was all copper, and it was extracted from the ore mineral chalcopyrite, bornite, chalcocite, and pyrite. And the first thing we see when we come in is there's a couple of these like metal frames here. I'm not really sure what they were for. They could have been maybe an ore car. I don't know. I mean, they've got these like hinges type that swing. I don't know. It's kind of weird. So the next thing we have is these rails. And I don't know if these rails were coming in or out of the mine, if they were removing them or installing them. I guess we'll find out when we go in. Sometimes there's markings or stamps on them that tell you something about them. I don't see any on these. And then here we have the remains of a wheelbarrow. It doesn't have its wheel on it, so it's kind of hard to tell what era it's from. But if I had to guess, I'd say 20s or 30s maybe. And here you can see there's a little bit of shoring that they used here. More or less just to probably keep this fracture from spreading apart here. And down here it might illustrate it a little better, where you can see where this wall broke off, and they just put some shoring in there to probably prevent that from happening. Right here, you have a shovel. It's part of a shovel. And then now you can see all the copper staining. Just pretty intense. These greens and blues. And here they got some shoring where it looks like they were starting to maybe do some stoping here and put a raise in. Doesn't go up too far. But again, you can kind of see the staining on the ceiling here. The shoring coming across there, the bracing I should say. You can see where they wedged with these wedges, these wood wedges, that bracing in there. And same on the other side here. It looks like for the most part, although the rail is still here, there's a couple small sections where it's missing, but there's another rail standing up in here. Down here we have the rail that I mentioned. It looks like the shovel handle or another tool handle. Just a little area they probably just widened out to store something. Again, it looks like they worked up a little bit here. They may have been chasing or just finding out if the vein continued up into here. And we just have some shoring down here. Another little area they widened out here. And it looks like we are at the back wall here. So looks like vein they may have been chasing is right up in here. I'll try to get my light to where I can see that.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going to try to show you this the best I can, but it looks like there's a vein here exposed in the back. Try to get up and show a better shot of that the best I can without shadowing it. It's kind of covered up with all this mud that's on the walls, so it's hard to follow But scraping it off here, you can make out the color and see the vein here. And just taking a look around here, see if we're missing anything. I don't see anything too interesting here. So you can see the native rock here, what it looks like when it's not completely covered in this mud. We're just kind of pausing here and looking up at this. It's like somebody recently maybe has been doing a little mineral hunting, possibly through here. Just kind of looking at, see if we can find this vein here that kind of runs through here. You can see all the color and the mineralization here. Kind of goes up into here and then takes a turn and kind of centers up on the tunnel ceiling here and then crosses back over to the left side. So you can see there. Kind of get the bright light off there so it's easier to see. But you can definitely see what they were following. So this is something, you know, when you come into mines, you know, people talk about barring down, fractures and loose rocks. So this is the kind of stuff when we talk about safety and things we watch for is if you look here, you can see the slab is got a crack in it and it runs all the way up here. And I get my light out of the way here, but it's fractured up here as well. And it's, I don't know, probably it's a pretty good size. So that'd be something you'd really want to be careful of. If we had a pry bar, you'd want to just pry that off and let it fall, just so it's not a hazard if you were actually spending any amount of time in here. But these are just things that are going to happen in time that you just have to be aware of. And it looks like up in here, you can see more of the vein that they were following. Kind of see why they chased it up. Might have been a little bit richer in this area, so they were just seeing where it went. And along the way here, there's some parts of maybe some tools as far as handles. Maybe looks like that might have been a can of some kind where I can see where a handle, where that little circle area is, would have maybe had a little metal handle on it. It looks like most of the rail is intact in here. So that rail we saw at the entrance just may have been extra rail they had intended to use as they drove this, and they just never got that far. Deep blue-green staining. You can kind of see it all. You probably didn't notice as much coming in because of the direction we were moving, but you can see how mineralized it is through here. Definitely a lot of color. Probably the most impressive spot in the whole mine in terms of all the color leaching down. All right, so we're back at the entrance, as you can see. One last look here at some of the artifacts that are here. This rail. It's like the fog lifted and the sun finally decided to come out for us. Make the climb down a little more pleasant. So looking down from the landing, there's one unusual and interesting item to note here, and that is there is no waste dump for this mine. And according to the records, the entire contents of the mine were shipped to smelter near the beginning of the turn of the century. So that could very well mean that there was high enough grade ore here that they decided it was worthwhile to send it all versus separating what they'd looked at as far as high grade versus waste, and they just shipped it all. So we're headed back down the Miners Trail, which is a little easier to follow going down. We can kind of make it out, and we can see right here where it switches back to our right. And it continues straight on down through here. So this concludes our visit to what we're calling the Galena Mine. We hope you enjoyed coming along with us on this trip, and we appreciate you following us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. And until our next trip, take care.